Of corporations and politics in the U.S. I'm joined by Amna Kirmani. She's professor of marketing at the University of Maryland's Robert H. Smith School of Business. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
So are you surprised to see more corporations and CEOs becoming more outspoken about political issues and voting rights in particular?
Not at all. This is a trend that's been going on for a few years now. And the reason the corporations are taking a stand on social justice is that their stakeholders, particularly their employees and their customers, have been telling them that they want corporations to stand for social values. And so this has been building up for a few years, given that social justice in the form of voting rights for all eligible voters is a universal value in the United States. The U.S. corporations are taking a stand.
So then, as we look at Delta then, why do you think they didn't sign that recent ad in the New York Times and Washington Post?
Delta is in a difficult position because they are headquartered in Atlanta, Georgia, and they are directly affected by the letter. Their claim is that they have already taken a stand and that they don't need to take a separate stand on this issue. They've gotten a lot of pushback from Republican politicians in Georgia, including the threat to increase their jet tax fuel. So they're sort of trying to please everyone.
And certainly a tough position to be in then. So then, do you think this more outspoken nature is being driven primarily by the C-suite, employees, shareholders, or the potential public backlash?
I think it's primarily employees and customers. Young people in the U.S., millennials, Gen Z, are particularly interested in social issues. And as I said before, they want companies to take a stand on it. However, the C-suite has to agree. They have to say that this is part of our values and we are willing to take a stand on it because it's quite risky for them. They might alienate their customers, they might alienate politicians, and so it is a risky undertaking for them.
So then how common is it for large U.S. corporations to weigh in on social or political issues in other countries?
Corporations have been wary of doing that because other countries have their own rules and regulations, and corporations don't want to oppose those rules. Again, it's highly risky. I would say that they would begin to do that if there is a large movement in the United States encouraging them to do that or pushing them to go in that direction. But that's a much more difficult and complex issue.
And it's interesting because as you look at the end result, you obviously have reputation, you also have bottom lines at stake. Do you think shareholders will see either a benefit or a loss from this type of activism?
I think on the whole, there will be a benefit. A milder version of this is corporate social responsibility, which is corporations supporting universally favored issues such as environment, medical research, schools, education. And there have been very positive benefits to corporations of that. Here, although there will be some negative consequences, I think on the whole, there will be a lot of positivity.
And speaking of consequences, even though some Republican lawmakers have criticized corporations for getting involved in politics with the Georgia voting issue, they do still want those corporations' political campaign donations. So what does this mean then for such alliances going forward?
It's a complex new world for corporations. They have always been donating money to political campaigns on both sides, both on the Republican and the Democratic side. Whoever is in power, whoever has more power probably gets more money. And so now they have to figure out how they reconcile that with supporting legislation that those very politicians introduce. So it may end up being a bottom line issue versus an ethical issue